Hey folks, I'm Jake Davis, and today I'm bringing you a retrospective, a retro review, if you will. I'm talking about Blade from 1998, directed by Stephen Norrington and starring Wesley Snipes, Chris Christopherson, Stephen Dorff, Nabush Wright, Udo Kier, Donald Lowe, and Tracy Lords. Yes. Anyway, Blade was the very first Marvel superhero film released by Marvel Entertainment. It was also released, of course, distributed, of course, by New Line Cinema. Howard the Duck doesn't count. He's not a superhero. Anyhow, I first saw Blade, and when it first came out in theaters with my dad, and I had a blast with it. Never thought it would have been as influential and as revolutionary as it was. I mean, seriously, Blade was a big influence. Without Blade, we wouldn't have gotten X-Men, we wouldn't have gotten Spider-Man, we wouldn't have gotten the Avengers in the MCU. Hell, The Matrix was heavily influenced by Blade. So Blade was a big deal. It's unappreciated as it is now. It had two sequels. One was alright, one was really bad. Actually, one was really good and one was really bad. And a TV show that was barely watchable. Blade also was written by David S. Goyer, who wrote all three films, as well as the Dark Knight trilogy with Christopher Nolan, as well as Man of Steel, which is my personal favorite superhero movie. The film starts in 1967, and we see this woman being rushed, this pregnant woman being rushed into the ER, and she's been attacked by a vampire. And just as she gives birth to a young boy, she flatlines, she dies. Of course, the young boy is Blade, our hero, the Daywalker. He's half human, half vampire. He has all of their powers, but none of their weaknesses. We are introduced into the vampire world during a bloodbath, which Blade comes in and he just eradicates these bloodsuckers, and saves at least one or two people, I guess, in there. One guy we know for sure. Later on, one of the vampires that Blade left for dead, named Quinn, attacks a doctor named Karen Jensen in her hospital. Blade rescues her, but not before cutting Quinn's arm off. She's been bitten, so he has to take her with her to try to save her life. This is where we met Whistler. Whistler is this old, badass cowboy type dude who's just totally jaded and doesn't give a shit about anything anymore. It's all about the mission for him, and he's about the best thing in the movie, to be honest. And this is a good movie. Around the same time, we meet our villains, Deacon Frost and the Vampire Council, and they're butting heads. The Council is very traditional and mysterious, and Deacon Frost is a revolutionary, and he wants the vampires to rule the world and not through the shadows. Eventually, Blade and Jensen discover Frost's plan, and is basically to awaken this creature called Lamagra, who is like this vampire god and is just going to reap over all of humanity, wipe us all out, turn us all supposedly, which is a bit of a plot hole, because if they're going to turn all of humanity vampires, what the hell are they going to eat? But at the same time, we find out that Frost isn't telling his henchmen everything he knows. So, and another plot hole is that part of awakening Lamagra is they need all 12 of the purebloods. But they kill off a couple of them and trying to round them up and get them together and take over. So, that kind of seems to fuck up the whole prophecy and everything. So they need Blade because the Daywalker, the half-blood, is part of the whole key, the tradition, the ritual. So they lure Blade in they just discover his hideout, they kill Whistler, and they take the girl. Around the same time, Blade, who does have the thirst, and he needs his serum. He has it's some kind of serum, it's a mixture, it's a cocktail. And while trying to come up with something that could possibly cure him, Jensen does come up with this weaponized, UV kind of serum thing, which is kind of cool. So, Blade goes to rescue the girl, and he's captured when he realizes that Frost's main woman is his mother. Frost is the vampire that killed his mother, made him what he is. He is, the bane of Blade's existence. So they take him to the whole ritual thing, and they put him in this big contraption, and Blade's bled out, and he's weak, and he's just exhausted. And as around this time, Frost reveals what he's really up to, and he becomes Lamagra himself. So he is the blood god, and the purebloods are all dead, and it looks like they've completely won. But this time, Jensen, who has escaped, offers herself to Blade to get his powers back up, and when he feeds on her, he is just unstoppable. He runs through Frost's men, he destroys them all. It is brutal and awesome. Comes down to him and Frost, and he instantly realizes that none of his tricks are going to stop Frost. He's far too powerful now. He's Lamagra. He is a god. So the silver's not working. He eventually just overdusts him, blows him up with the UV thing, and he just explodes into this big nasty thing. And by the end of the film, they've decided that Jensen is going to stay with him, and they're going to try to find a cure, but at the same time, they're going to continue the mission to stop and bring down the vampires. And the movie ends with him in Russia, speaking Russian, taking out a Russian vampire. It's kind of cool. Overall, Blade is a great movie. Like I said, it was inspirational, and it's really fun. And as much as it is a solid superhero movie, it is a legit kung fu movie, and it is a very good horror film. The bloodbath sequence is terrific, and like Quinn's burnt up creature, the pearl creature that guards the vampire records, a doctor that gets bitten by Quinn and turns into this golem thing that keep downstairs, and even those are all such cool monsters. This kind of sucks that Lamagra himself, when Dorf becomes all this powerful, it's just Steven Dorff with red eyes. But overall, it's a great movie. It's a blast. It's dated, but it's a good kind of dated. It's a 90s essential. On a track list of classic to embarrassment, one or the other, on that scale, Blade is definitely a classic. It's something Marvel should be proud of, New Line should be proud of. It's a terrific movie. It's something of its time, and definitely worth going back to look at. The best things about this movie are its photography, its score by Mark Isham. The eye of Stephen Norrington was really unique. Wesley Snipes is terrific in it. He's over the top, but he's great. I've already mentioned how good Chris Christopherson was. And Udo Kier, who's the kind of actor who just didn't get to do enough really cool movies. And he was an interesting, weird-looking actor. And I liked him in this. He plays the head of the Vampire Council. What I didn't really like about this movie were the villain plot holes. A character I've not even mentioned, this blonde henchwoman of Frost. She is so terrible in it. All the times I've seen this movie, all these years later, I still can't tell you her character's name. I can't tell you her, the actress who played her's name. It is an awful film. But, so yeah. And Steven Dorff himself is a give or take kind of thing. You know, he does this kind of weird sniffing thing. You know, is the vampire a cokehead, or does he have the flu? What's going on with this vampire sniffles? But at the same time, it's a very physical performance. So he does a lot of silent movie, vampire poses and stuff. Overall, he's a weird. The villains are weird. The heroes are great, and the movie overall is just a blast. It is a classic. So yeah, Blade went from a 1974 Marvel Comics creation by Marv Wolfman to a 1998 Hollywood success from New Line Cinema. It's a terrific movie, and I definitely would recommend anybody who hasn't seen it, definitely see it, especially if you're into superhero or horror films. It's the Halloween season, and hopefully you enjoy it as much as I do. And if you didn't have seen it, go back and see it again, because I still have a lot of fun watching it. Sorry for such a long review, but I warned this was going to be a little longer. It was going to be spoilers. I hope you like this. Hope you like hearing me talk about a movie that I really enjoyed. I would love to rant about something I really hate too, but don't make me watch something I hate too much. So thank you for watching this. If you did watch, if you got through all of it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you like it. Hope you comment. Hope you suggest something else you're going to do. I still want to do my retrospective of Superman, but I'd like to do something other than just superheroes and horror movies. Or if not, you know, hell, that's great too. Anyways, I'm Jake Davis, and I will see you next time.